Good morning and much thanks for being part of UBC Good Morning Uganda. Now welcome to Good Morning Uganda Extra, which is an extension of Good Morning Uganda. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyutono. That is in case you've just joined, but we are always here from 6:30 up to the hour of 9 when we bring an end to Good Morning Uganda and we move into the extra. And this morning we are going to be looking at education. Now, hundreds, thousands graduate every year from the various higher institutions of learning that we have in this country. We recently had the Nkumba, we had Victoria University, we had a number of universities graduating, sending out many young men and women into the job market. And often so, we do expensive graduation parties, which is not a crime. Get me right. It's not a crime for you to celebrate victory because not everyone reaches that or attains that level. So it is good to celebrate. Some make them extra. And when you look at the graduation budget right from the wear to the party and some the gifts given, then thereafter, this young man, this young lady goes back in the same bedroom they were before going to university. Returns home and they are looking at daddy, they are looking at mommy and waiting patiently till a job will knock their way. Some even have their first class, second class, and someone will tell you, I'm now 5 years on the streets. I've written applications, but in vain. Then others who begin driving the father around, do some work. And then one asks, what next after graduation? As thousands graduate. Now, joining me on set this morning, I have Conan Businje, who is the head marketing, Victoria University. And we want to look at how best can you ensure that this system brings out people that can be job creators themselves? That a parent doesn't have to worry about school fees, then worry about getting a job. How do we venture? How do we break even? Because this is a challenge that many people have. I attend very many graduations, and the father will say, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, my brother. Thanks so much for inviting me on the show.
How have you been?
Great. We are doing
veteran journalist.
Yes, veteran journalist for close to 20 years as an education reporter. Yes. Now, in the other world, we are doing fair well. Things are okay. God has been on our side. Yeah,
I can see the Lord has been faithful. And Madam seems to be doing a very great job as far as feeding you.
Feeding me? No, I'm actually cutting down the feeding to make sure, you don't have, you need to monitor everything.
You're also balancing the boat like me.
Yes, you've actually massively cut. I don't know what you are doing, but whatever you're doing, maintain.
I'll take you to swimming lessons.
I love that.
And I hope you don't finish water in the pool. But otherwise, back to business.
Yeah,
when you meet an old friend, there's so much to jazz about.
Yeah, I know.
But back to business.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Now, Victoria University is one of the universities.
True.
Actually, recently, this very year, you churned out a number of them. Was it last month?
Yeah, last month. 1,400 students.
And that is a big number.
Yeah.
And they are coming in a job market where Kumba is releasing, Makere is releasing.
Yeah, sure.
How do we make sense of this system?
Yeah.
And how are you doing it there?
One of the things, good morning, Ugandans and whoever is watching us from wherever you are. When you look at our country, almost every year you have so many students leaving, coming to almost 400,000 students leaving institutions at a certificate level, diploma level, and others coming into the country and graduating here and staying in the system. It's a massive number of students graduating every other year. But obviously, you realize that all these students, as they're getting out, they are all looking for jobs. They all have hope there is a job waiting for them. But you understand that this country is basically, or close to 80%, is on the informal sector. Meaning, that's not a government job, that's not a standard job where it's not even a private company is giving a standard job. You've got to fight for yourself to be able to create your own job and survive. The formal sector gives us almost around only like 20%. So the question is, where is your job? And yesterday we had a discussion on the alumni, Makerere University alumni. Someone brought up that topic and it was a hot debate. And the question was, is it education that is failing us? Obviously, it's not on education. There are a number of other factors, social, economic, and political factors. When you look at the policies of a country and the funding of enterprises for the youth or even generally for to create jobs. When you look at your budget, how many more jobs are created every year that they get to tell you? When they read the budget, how many jobs do they tell you they are creating? Do they even talk about them? Those are the things you should be asking yourself. We cannot compete right off government what is managed to do, but the reality is that, and management yesterday went on that platform, and I'm glad you got me here today, where I'm standing in for my Vice Chancellor. You know, one of the things, under normal circumstances, we need to pay attention to as a country is education. And education, right from the day a child steps into school, and that is primary one, or nursery, through the primary section of learning to secondary education to where we are supposed to be. Unfortunately, most of the students actually that start do not even graduate. We're not talking about those who graduate. But the biggest population of the young people in this country, 80% of the people in this country are are youth. 80% of the population are youth. Now the question then would be, where are they exactly? Did you know that of the 2 million pupils that start in primary one, only like 100,000 finish at the university level? We lose a great chunk of almost 1.9 million pupils in a cohort, or students, call them students, in a cohort that started at primary one. By the time they graduate, they are lost along the way. The question is, where are they?
Informal sector.
Informal sector. Juakali. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm only saying it had better be better planned. There are countries, if you look at South Africa, you'll find like 50%. Much as it has the highest, much when you look at Uganda, we might have a big problem we are talking about here. But you know that Uganda is one of the countries in African continent that has the lowest unemployment. We're actually doing well compared to the other African countries. If you look at South Africa, they're almost in 38% unemployment. If you look at Angola, they're almost in 32% unemployment. In Uganda, we are around under 10%. Now, under 10, percentages can sound nice. But when you look at the real calculation of quality formal employment that you have in this country, we have a sad story to tell.
Well, you talked about those that drop out. Let me tell you, one of the most challenging things is having an educated population that is not employed. Because these people have hope.
That's true.
You know, a person who drops out, it's very sad.
It's very sad.
Because they would want to complete education.
Yeah.
But there's a way they are content. In one way that at least I didn't go to school, so I must find my way. But a person who has attained a bachelor's.
Have you seen one of the tactical mistakes we're making as a country? So many of the young boys and girls that graduate, they end up on a plane to Saudi Arabia, to Dubai, Israel, and other countries to do things like being maids, cleaning houses. They cannot stay at home in our own country. And that's a great human resource we are losing as a country. And we need to begin looking at these things deeply. If you're a lawmaker, if you're a policy maker, if you are someone in any position in government, or even anyone who is running a company, an organization, because at times we push so much of the blame to government, we forget that actually it starts with us. Me and you, even what we are doing today morning, is very, very, very important. We're doing our bit, and everybody has to do their bit. All the people have to do their bit to ensure we actually work towards making sure we don't lose even our human resource of the people that we've actually trained in two countries to do very funny jobs.
Now, I want to put it to you, these institutions,
Yeah.
because at primary, when a person goes in today, there's briefing for PLE, primary
Yes,
7.
it's being done this morning.
Not much we expect from them. When a person completes O-level, not much we expect from them.
Which is
I'm
sad.
happy government has improved, has come up with a lower secondary curriculum, the new curriculum, and this is the first time they are going to be examined according to that. You wait for the outcomes.
Yeah.
So it's more practical. Maybe we can expect something from someone who has finished senior 4. Now, when it comes to A-level, still, but a person who has had 3 years at a university.
And you know what you're saying, Mr.
We
Chirau?
assume, we believe.
Do you know what you're saying?
They should be able.
Do you know how sad it is, what you've actually just explained? And you are very, very right. When people leave primary, as you've rightly put it, there's less we're expecting from them.
I mean, a P7 child.
And do you know why?
What can they?
Our education system, then, that means it's not working. A serious education system, after 7 years, you must be able to do something.
They can do.
Even if you
can
stopped
write,
at that
spell,
point, you have good
count.
English, but the English you've studied in primary is not enough. You need to have a skill, right? And that's the good argument people are raising yesterday, my colleagues. It is good that by primary level, you have actually attained a certain level of education, some bit of foundational skills, but also there are what we call soft skills. We others call them transferable skills. Things like the things you might easily do, skills like how to talk to people, how to manage yourself, how to easily do some of these soft skills, things you can easily use to make sure you sustain yourself in a system. Leave alone the things, the ability to do, but also how have we nurtured our children? What have we put in them that gives them something much more than the little education they got from books? That is why we also need to pay attention to something called vocational and technical education, which should be engraved in our children's learning right from nursery. Yesterday I saw a clip of a school called, I'm forgetting the name of the school, second nursery school. Obviously they must have done it. I don't know for whatever reason they did it, but they had children and they were explaining the engine, the cover of the engine, and then it has the 3 layers of the engine of a car. Okay, you might call it PR for a school, but it's nice to have a 8-year child or 7-year child even explain parts of the engine, and you can actually unscrew. They may not be perfect, but they know how to put stop and remove nuts and everything. And that was impressive. But that is just a simple thing of much, much more we can teach our children. Things like, what stops a child at P7 level to know how to decorate? What stops a child at P7 level to know how to cook? What stops a child at P7 level to know some bit of plumbing? What stops a child at P7 level to know something about electrical stuff? What stops a child at primary 7 to know something to do with carpentry? So you know that even if he doesn't go to secondary, he has a bit of skills he can use to survive in the real world. But you are a parent and you're watching us this morning. Your child is going to sit primary 7 after tomorrow. Then I think they're sitting exams on Wednesday and Thursday. Ask yourself, can your child do the things I've been talking about? And what went wrong? You'll tell me government didn't give us what we needed. But in their holiday time, in your free time, in weekends, is there anything you gave them that can make them survive? Now look at me. Some of us are lucky we grew up actually in rural settings. I knew how to run a farm. I knew how to look after animals when I was a kid. The other day the vice chancellor was telling you when he had started a very big business in looking after rabbits. To an extent, even at school, they started saying that he's not concentrating on his studies. But are we teaching children these things? Because for me, even if I lost my job today, I cannot fail to earn a living. You know why? I have some bit of a skills I can use to survive. The question is that, is your son who has just finished or going to finish P7 or your daughter? And the other challenge, by the way, we have, the highest level of unemployment amongst the youth is so much under the females, not even males. we have almost 10% more of the females who are not actually having jobs compared to males, the
And
boys.
that is explanatory.
And that's problematic.
Yeah, so much dropout. But now I want us to take this debate. Yes, you've rightly said there is so much we need to correct down here. But one would assume with all the gaps fine, these arrive at areas of specialization.
Yeah.
Someone says, I'm doing mass communication, someone bachelor's in education, someone a diploma in this and that, and then they're at university.
Yeah.
Mature people, what is it that you're not doing right?
And I'm going to start with an analogy. I have a cousin that I paid fees for and did a bachelor's of medicine and surgery. When this gentleman finished, this cousin of mine, he could hardly find a job. People think when you do medicine or sciences, you have an automatic job. That's a joke.
Clinics are everywhere, opening up.
That's a joke. If you ever get a job, they'll pay you peanuts, and if you can't stomach it with your degree in medicine and surgery. He struggled until somehow he settled after 3-4 years. But I kept telling this guy, can I get you money? And we start our dispensary. I know maybe they may not allow you to practice with your license. Can you get your colleagues already in the field for 5 years plus? They use their license, and we start a dispensary. We turn it later into a small hospital. I was ready to get money from somewhere. And I had areas around this country where I know people are struggling even to get a tablet, a Panadol tablet. And they just need a dispensary with a good pharmacy. He told me, those things are hard. I don't even go to Replan. He said, I would Replan. 4 years later, I've never seen even a concept of a plan. But I'm taking you to one thing. Much as it is very late to start entrepreneurial skills and giving these skills to students, it is important that every institution inculcates entrepreneurial skills in each and every program. If they are doing medicine, if they are doing IT, if they are doing nursing, you must study entrepreneurship. Because that's the only way you're going to actually to create your own job when you graduate. Now, any other serious institution, and that's what we are doing also at Victoria, should also be able to establish what we call career readiness and employability. You can call it a name you so wish. So that you create a career. Right away from when you join the university, you begin creating a plan for your career. Either you're going to work in the remaining small jobs that are taking 20% of the ratio of the people that are employed in the formal sector and maybe government jobs, those are waged and salaried people. That is a small area. You still need to have a bit of skills. The skills I was talking about, things you can do, how you take yourself. Do you know teamwork? Do you know collaboration? Do you know how to work with people? Do you know how to reason? Do you know how to create ideas? Are you innovative? Can you think of a concept and build it and write a proposal? Now, those are the things we prepare and make sure you do at Victoria University from the very first day of arrival. But this can be done by any other university. Even if you're running a primary, secondary school, or any other institution, these are the things we need to give our children. We need to prepare them to have entrepreneurial skills, but also the soft skills, the transferable skills, so that when they get out, they can start from something, but also something that is very important. It is a mistake, and I really, one of the words I'm getting tired of is so-called internship. Anyone who has gone for internship, anyone who has sent a child to for internship, and all of you who have corporate organizations and are watching us today, you understand we've lost the sense of the word internship. Very few people understand it. I've seen a few institutions that understand it. But what we need to do right now is to run a core program, a work-integrated learning program. You learn by doing. Just imagine if I was a student of journalism and I come here for almost a full year. Don't pay me. All you've got to do, give me a chance to do something. And you know, we have a system where we pump kids every other day. That's also another wrong and traditional way to teach. The right way to teach, create a modular system which spreads the learning for almost 11 months or 12 months a year. Make sure every month they study one module or what other people call course units. Now, that creates enough time in a week where you study only once, twice, or thrice, but fairly to be able to finish a time, and also to finish a syllabus. You need at least 2 to 3 days a week where you sit in class for a few hours, obviously, not from morning to evening, but for like maybe 3, 6, 7 hours, depending on how they create the timetable. But make sure you study 2 days or 3 days a week. The rest of the week, send me to UBC. I'll start by the simple things like following people going to the field. Before you know, Chirabo's colleague doesn't show up on time, they say, take that camera. Before you know, they are saying, hold the camera. Before you know, you are the one hosting this show. Before you know, at the end of 1 year, you were super host. Even if after 1 year, because one of the things we are doing as an institution is to create 2 transcripts. The academic one, but also the other that shows what you have learned in real skills alongside it. And UBC has stamped there, we give them assessment scores they need to give. The second one has learned this, has learned this, has learned this, and has learned this, and we are scoring him like this. And you know, gradually later on, we create a transcript. Different people go to different companies. Now, at the end of the day, when you finish a full year, the so-called experience they ask for, you have it. The so-called learning on the job, you have it. Because they gave you a chance to learn from the seniors. So by the time you graduate, you may not actually get a job at UBC. But trust me, I can get my phone, okay? I can create my dark room in my sitting room, and I can begin hosting shows like this. And I can begin running them on social media. And all along those shows that I'm running, I make sure I promote them prominently. There are some newspapers that are struggling even to sell 22,000 copies or even 30,000 copies a day. I can have almost 40,000, 100,000 views every day on my platform I've created. And alongside that, I begin telling people, by the way, give me an advert. Where some people are asking for 10 million, 5 million, I say, if you give me 1 million, I'll run your advert on my social media platform. And I make it very active that people begin watching it almost every day. They begin hunting for it online, on their phones, as they go to work, as they go back home, as they rest in the evening. I have their attention. You realize people don't even have time to watch TV at times, which is unfortunate because they miss certain things like this. But then if you're a student, you have your social media platform. That is why stations like UBC have the online platform. Right now, if you're not on a physical one, people are busy watching us on their phones.
Yes.
I've watched several shows you've done online. Because you know your people go online. As a student, I can do that. And I can run adverts, I can make money, I can become my own boss.
Now, I want to ask you, because most of the times I see vice chancellors, chief guests, when people are graduating, we are sending you out to be job creators and not job seekers. All this information you're giving today, it is very important. But there are people who graduated and are watching us. They are home. Some have even woken up after seeing Uganda's education system. Thousands graduate every year, but what next? And this is a question to these children. This is a question to their parents. They're asking, yes, I have this. Now, the university gave me, what is hindering them? And
you know, they're better be worried.
If you talk about, you know, sometimes speaking, we make it very easy. You know, if you say you've studied medicine, go out. I mean, people are sick everywhere. Go out, work. Is it mindset that these people cannot start? You talked about it, up your skills. But also, one looks at how does one who has not been doing business before now coming out and starting business?
Wonderful question. And the people home, you had better be worried. There were like 300 million youth in sub-Saharan Africa. That number by 2050 will be around 500 million, based on the Population Research Bureau's estimates. It means, and in Uganda, the number is growing every other day. As we talk, there are babies that are being born, hundreds, around hospitals in the entire East African region. Many of them. And these are coming exactly to fight for your jobs. The only solution you have is to make sure, first of all, you go for education that matters. And if you graduate...
And what is education that matters?
The education that matters is education that offers you skills to survive and create your own job. If you are settled in an institution, or you are going to a university right now, or an institution, and you are banking on looking for a job, you are headed for trouble. 80% of the jobs in this country are informal, are being created by individuals. If you're going to get your degree, chances are very good you're going to begin working for people who didn't even step in school, because that's what is available for you. Most of the youth we have, close to, I was reading our statistics of our country, UBC shows that almost like 43% of the youth who even have jobs. And there was a study done by International Labour Organization, contracted some people to do a study here also, and the conjunction of UBC actually shows that 43% of the Ugandan youth who are even employed, they are doing jobs they shouldn't be doing. Some, they're actually jumping on the jobs they can't do. Some, they're actually underemployed. So what do you do in such a case? That's the question he asked. If you already having a degree and you feel this degree is not working for you, now you need to step back and accept and go for a vocational and technical course. Some are 1 year. If you want to get one that has a certification by government, there is one by UBC, it is 2 years. I'll tell you something very interesting. Victoria University has started a vocational and technical education institution under us. It is called Victoria University Institute of Advanced Technical Studies. You may be wondering, are these guys crazy? You start vocational courses and technical under university? No, it's not being crazy. Here's the truth. Students who have gone through those courses are the ones actually hiring graduates. Because they have the skills. They do real life projects. If you're talking about business, you need to do a real life project. Their students have also come to marketing and already telling me, we want to develop content for you and you need to pay us. I said, that's no problem. Show me the content. If it's good, I'll even pay for you. We have a band. Some of you have seen our students dancing. You might think it is just for fun. No. Someone started an idea, says, I'm going to make people dance. And when they dance, first of all, as a university, as we dance you and promote you, you're going to pay us. We said how much? We had to negotiate and we agreed, okay, we'll pay you per month. And now every time they go out for dinners, and when they go out to dance on weddings, they pay them 2 to 3, 5 million shillings, and then they come back to class on Monday and study. The team of 10 guys, you pay them 5 million shillings, they share that. Those guys, trust me, they might even get, so they might get their degrees in medicine. They might even get their degrees in ICT, but don't be surprised when you find them on stage dancing and earning. Because it's an avenue for you to earn. It's not a master. You should always study, or do what you've studied. But it is very important that people go back and pick vocational skills. I talked about things that we need to do in case people forget everything I've said today. You need to have foundational skills, basic skills. You must also have transferable skills. I ought to explain what transfer skills are, or call them the soft skills. You must also have a bit of vocational and technical skills. Even if you went through a university and have a degree, and your teaching did not give you these practical things to understand them, then you went for a wrong degree. And I liked your analogy when you were starting. That analogy, I keep painting it to people. I actually no longer go for wedding, sorry, not wedding, apologies. I no longer go for graduation, these parties. They don't make sense. Give me a reason why we should come to your graduation party and we spend almost 10 to 20 million shillings, and on Monday you sit home and begin asking your parent to give you money for a hanky, to even buy underclothes, to buy even a shirt. You were a man, for God's sake. You were a woman by the time you graduate. Don't think you were a baby. And you sit home and ask to even be given food. No.
Yet the father sold the cows, sold coffee,
to do a graduation party for you.
Not
that
to
money,
see you through.
Actually, you should be doing fundraisings when your son graduates, when your daughter graduates, because government, by the way, has done some great work to create youth ventures, but some of these ventures, they're not well funded. There's so much corruption, the man doesn't sink down. We have the parish development model, a wonderful idea, but at times people do not know how to use even the money. When you give them money, they just eat it, consume it, they go drink, they go actually pay for their children's school fees. They can't learn how, they don't know how to multiply the money. Wonderful ideas. I love the government for that, but we need to find a methodology that helps people understand these things. No wonder that's why we have children who graduate and they don't have even capital to start anything. But
Well,
it goes back to something.
Conrad, I have to go for a short break. I must do some business here.
Sure.
I'll be coming back shortly. Let's first do some business. We'll be returning shortly, and when we return, we'll still continue with our topic of discussion.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
The Ministry of Health informs the general public that there are some cases of Mpox detected in Uganda. The ministry, working with partners and affected district local governments, are doing their best to contain the situation. The signs and symptoms of Mpox are body rash, fever, general body weakness, headache, sore throat, nasal congestion or cough, and swollen lymph nodes. You can prevent yourself from getting infected with Mpox by avoiding close contact with people who have been confirmed to have Mpox or who have signs and symptoms of Mpox. Avoiding touching or sharing personal items like beddings, eating utensils, phones, or other belongings of a person who has the signs and symptoms of Mpox. Avoiding contact, including eating, with all wild animals, alive or dead, especially those known to carry the virus, such as rodents and monkeys, and those that appear sick or have been found dead. Getting vaccinated if you're among those who have been identified to be at high risk of Mpox infection. Mpox is treatable and usually goes away after 2 to 4 weeks. However, it can be severe, causing even death, especially among children, pregnant women, and those with other health conditions. For more information and support, contact your nearest health worker. Call the Ministry of Health's toll-free line on 0800 100 066 or send a free SMS to your report on 8500.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that break, and thank you for being with us on UBC TV. I know it's raining, but we appreciate wherever you are, your hotel room, watching us via social media, the various platforms that we have. On the X app, something is working there, being posted there on our YouTube channel. Thank you so very much for being part of the show. Now, we are still looking at Uganda's education system. Thousands graduate every year, but what next after graduation? That is the question that every person, as you go into your final year, as you submit your final courseworks, as you give in your dissertation, you give in your research, something that comes to you, the joy you had of joining university, now you're thinking of what does it have for you? A young friend of mine was telling me, now I'm going into the uncertainty. I've been at university getting some pocket money and all. It was a fear. At the back of the joy, there was a fear of something, the unknown. We are saying, how do we improve this? How do we prevent it? You've talked about entrepreneurial skills, you've talked about vocational skills, but you're forgetting also one thing, that when government liberalized education, many people have commercialized it. Conan, it's now a business.
Yeah.
For you to start an institution. It is good business when you start a university. Now, when a person is maximizing profits, there are certain things they avoid and don't see them as essential.
Exactly.
Let me just give you a brief example. My days, your days, and many people. It was hard to find a school without a playground.
Yes.
Actually, one of the symbols of a school
Was a playground.
was a playground. Co-curricular activities. Today, when you tell someone starting a school to buy another 100 by 50 or 100 by 100 and make it a pitch, they'll ask you, does your neighbor examine sports?
I know. I know.
Why would I venture into this?
I know.
Today, I know schools where extracurricular activities, you pay for them. Today, parents, you can testify.
Yeah.
They tell you that if your child is going to be in the football club,
You pay.
you pay.
Music, you pay.
Music, you pay. These are things we are having free of charge.
Yeah.
It was part and parcel and
Of learning.
Of learning. I hear ballet class, maybe that is unique. That's
And they tell you your child will not attend ballet because they didn't pay.
they didn't pay. Not in the football classes, sports because they didn't pay. So it is not different to universities. So how do we do this, impact these skills that may require extra input into the system, yet we are under massive profitization?
Yeah, and that's a very good question. You know, times when we say these things, people, some are watching us think, they're just saying them for the sake of, they're on TV, they're just saying them for the sake of passing time. They're not real. I'll give you a simple example. I used to be an education editor, but one of the reasons why I quit my job, I found a gentleman whose thinking is extremely different. Who actually, I think to me, if I met him years before, I would have been far, far better and would have done something extraordinary for this country. The gentleman is Professor Lawrence. I don't say it because he's my boss. Even if I wasn't working with him, I would say this. When he joined Victoria University, because it was more or less like an international university, the fees were so high, people were paying almost 7 to 8 million shillings a semester. You'd have to look for 21 million to pay. And some people still think that's what we pay. He changed that. And his argument was, he told me, Conan, if I'm going to be a vice chancellor here, the first thing I'm going to do is to make sure education is a service, not a business. Because at the current level where we are, it's an international university. If any Ugandan pays this money, it will be as if we are making business out of them. No, what we are going to do, we're going to reduce fees. Actually, the fees they pay at university is actually lower than some secondary schools. By under $1 million shillings, you can go for a program every semester. So other programs are around 500,000, 600,000, 700,000. The money some of you actually take in 1 meal or 2. Some of you actually drink that money in one night is tuition for a university student. For 4 semesters, for 4 months. Now, education, I was in Germany. when I was still a reporter, you find that people who go to private institutions, even people laugh at you. They think you have failed. Naturally, people that go to public universities, those are the best. Public schools, they are the best. It is the reverse when you come to the African continent. Here, when you go to a private institution, it is, some of them are the best. And government institutions, some of them are not doing well. Why is it that? So we need to refocus. We need to go back as a country and rethink our education. If you're a member of parliament and you appropriate money, the sector you should be giving more money is the education sector. Do not make people plead for money. You should actually put in more money in the education sector. One, to make sure you pay lecturers and teachers well. Make sure you have more good schools. Make sure there are schools where people go and learn and they are not under the pressure. And you rightly put it. Once you want to reduce the costs of running an institution, you're going to cut out the services that are very important because you're managing the costs of production. So to minimize the cost of production, you lose the things that are very important in an education institution. But assuming you are starting a business, you're starting a sort of school that is not being looked at as a business, you have to maximize everything you make sure that actually are very important to the learning of a child. And you have to make sure that happens. Now, our education, if you look at most institutions, it is just about at times making money. There are those actually that are really not expensive and are doing a service. But also I know institutions, primary, secondary schools, nursery schools, and universities, that to them, the operation is a business. Let me not shy away from the fact that obviously you require also to have little money that you can save. But you do not entirely start a business where you've come to focus on profits. It starts with a service. This country needs to rethink the funding for higher and lower education, lower secondary schools and higher education in secondary schools, but also universities at a higher level in universities, but also primary education. Did you know that government doesn't fund nursery schooling?
No. We don't have government on kindergartens, pre-primary.
But why? Why?
Don't. That is for the private sector.
If I had powers, I would make sure nursery schools are funded by government. Because if you want to raise a child, the first 5 years are very, very fundamental.
Conrad, do we give the right content? Because you see, sometimes this issue of funding, you've just talked about Victoria University being one of the cheapest chartered universities we have in Uganda.
Exactly.
Now, when we look at some of these government institutions, if you look at the funding government gives, the various donations that come in,
money
the
for grants, research
and what? When you go, I don't want to mention the university.
Don't mention names.
But I was asking one time ahead of department. Of course, they'll say it is very underfunded. But then I was speaking to someone, and that is actually a professor, and I was asking, what is your budget for such a department? So is it what we are churning out, the people who are churning it out? Because you can only give what you have. And have they been given the right information?
And you're very right.
You find a professor of business administration retiring at the age of 60. I'm looking for the best way to say it. Not even a kiosk. Not even a land title anywhere, not even a house, struggling. But he has been churning out thousands his lifetime into business. I'm not an educationalist, but I don't want to believe that by the time I become a professor in something, maybe, my little understanding, maybe, if I'm entrepreneur, you're training entrepreneurs. But there's not. So these are the questions we need to be very honest about them.
Yes, what we are teaching also has, as institutions, as institutions in Uganda, if anyone is serious and is running an institution, you need to focus. I'll give you an example, and two quick analogies. I have a boy, I'm a father. This boy, I took him to school, and he passed all the other subjects, and then he was getting actually 90. He was excelling everything. But then he got F9 in mathematics. And the teacher tells me, you see, your boy is not good at counting. Let me tell you something. Every child is born with a clean slate. How we teach the children is what makes them fail or succeed in normal work and in real life.
But you have different abilities.
People they have different abilities.
Yes.
And these abilities at times grow with our natural intellect, but also with the biases we pick in life. If you tell my son you're terrible at mathematics, you never do maths. I changed the school. The guy is the #1 student in mathematics. I'm not saying this for myself. I'm telling you how our education has a problem fundamental, and we need to fix the things. So it is very, very important that we see what we teach. And you gave a very good analogy of people who graduate. I mean, sorry, you teach for these years, you retire at age 60, 70, whatever age it is, and you do not have even any business to show. Actually, if I was to own a university, no one would teach in my university. If you're not working, you don't have a business outside there. And my lecturers would come from the real world.
Because with medicine it is clear.
Yes, and that's
what this is Dr. Mutiaba. He's the leading surgeon.
That's what we've actually started at Victoria. If you are not in the real world of work, then you don't have to teach. Yes. The things you study theories, and then you come and you regurgitate the theories over and over. That's why students fail. They have nothing to look up to. If a person, just imagine if you are teaching journalism and communication. The same examples you give in class are from your real world of work. If you have never taken a single photo, how do you teach photojournalism? If you've not written a single story, how do you teach writing for journalism?
News writing and reporting.
What are you writing? What are you teaching them? The theories, the things you read in books? Do you realize that the real world of work is different from the things we studied at school? You come here, you realize actually whatever you studied is just a baseline. It is like 20% of the real world of work. You step in here, the world is totally different. Totally different. People step in newsrooms and they get shocked of what is even going on in the newsroom. That's why we are starting the work. That's why we started the work integrated learning. That's why we think we need to get to a level. And you know, other countries actually have a must COP program. No one graduates without doing a COP program. Or when you graduate, you do a COP program after graduation before you are hired anywhere.
And what is that program?
That is where you basically, that's more or less the same as work integrated learning, where they take you and you either volunteer after graduating, or you make sure you study while working as a requirement for you to graduate. That's what we've said at Victoria University. No one, even if you're a son of Chirabo or anyone big in this country, you will never graduate until you've shown us that you have been in a work integrated program for 1 full year, and you have created a transcript, and UBC can, or any other organization, or Stanbic Bank, or wherever it is, whatever bank, whatever institution, can attest that they've actually tested you for a period of over 6 months to a year, and you qualify to actually step out in the real world of work. We are not going to send experiments where we send out students and we have to experiment. The unemployment we have in this country, the joblessness we have in this country, is partly created by these institutions we were actually going through. And by the way, it's not only a problem of the universities, right from primary, secondary, from nursery, primary, secondary, to all those technical institutions are going through. If they've not given you transferable skills, if not given you foundational skills, if not given you vocational or technical skills, the skills you can use to actually succeed while you employ it, because some people get employed and they get sacked the next day because they find you actually useless in the establishment.
Yeah, degree can get you everywhere, but may not keep you there.
May not keep you there. Very good. Or you can even use those skills to start your own job. If you don't have that, you are in real trouble. And exactly, if you're a parent, these are things you need to think about. Some of you are focused on just collecting money and sending children to school. Ask yourself, where I'm sending this boy in primary, second, or the university, is this the right university? Forget what we say. Look at our products. Look at the graduates from those universities. They should be the first indicator. Forget the adverts you see and everything. That's not very important. See the graduates from those institutions. If they can't speak for themselves, I'm not just saying that Conan speaks very well and that's what I'm talking about. If they can't show you that they have learned things that can keep them afloat without looking for jobs, Before even we blame government that they have not created jobs every other year, how many jobs have you created yourself? Even if you're working in government, you can have a private business out. Even if you're in the private sector, what other job do you have? And I'll tell you something that is very, very important. I was almost about to forget. My university sent me in Lusaka, and we met a few people. We had traveled, went to Nigeria, Lusaka, and Zimbabwe. We're looking at education systems, but also trying to establish centers for university to reach the entire. We're trying to create a unit, a branch, or attachment to every city on the African continent, because we think what we're trying to do should spread across the African continent. It shouldn't be just something we do for Uganda. I met a gentleman on a plane. His father owns a hotel in Jinja, and he said something that haunts me every day. He said, if you are still, and this is also a message I'm passing to you every day, I mean people are watching us, no matter how much you earn, if you are still earning a salary and is the only source of survival, you are poor. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. It is the truth. No wonder that's why people graduate, get jobs, work for 20, 30 years. And the professor you're talking about, he graduates, and he retires, and he has nothing. I'm going to repeat this. If you're still earning a salary, even if they pay 100 million shillings, you are poor. The day you start earning something out, even if it is 10,000 a month, you have started now becoming rich.
Conan, I must let you go. Let me just have your parting shot.
My parting shots.
Regarding today's topic.
This topic, the changing of the country's employment system. We look at so many issues, some are political, some of the things we have no control over them. But in life, it should start with what you can do yourself, and let the things you can't do impede your ability to do the things you can do. It is very important that you pick on institutions, you look for institutions of learning that actually make a difference for your child. I'm proud to be working with Victoria University because I know they understand. One of the reasons why I quit my job is because I was interested in what Professor Lawrence Muganga is building. And I'm proud of that kind of ideology of education. And I'm not saying other universities are completely not doing the right thing. There are several other institutions that are doing the right thing. So your job is to find the right institution that gives the right education. And that's where a child should be. And not only university. This story starts from primary, actually nursery, primary, and secondary. You need to make sure your child has foundational skills, transferable or soft skills, and vocational and technical education skills. Short of that, you will be hunting for jobs.
Well, thank you so much, Conrad Businje from Victoria University, Head Marketing. We've been looking at issues regarding education. What next after graduation? It is very, very important. First, to all the graduates out there, mindset change. Mindset change. Sometimes you may study journalism, but it's just giving you exposure. When you go into, if there is an avenue for agriculture, don't underestimate any job. Remember, go there, cause the difference because you've gone to school. Get what you got in school, put it in that field. If you did journalism, be a good communicator of your business. Have those communication skills. Don't wait for that particular job to come your way. It may never. But venture into anything, apply those skills, and who knows, you may be the next tycoon of this country. Have a lovely day. God bless you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
In the heart of Uganda, a financial revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, keeping it too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial *229#. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial *229# to register. Wendy, Wanawoli.
At Uganda Development Bank, we are committed to empowering communities by supporting projects that unlock excellent economic benefits for Ugandans through job creation, tax contribution, output value, and foreign exchange. We seek partnerships with projects that drive economic development in Uganda.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby dondolo.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000.